It all started on June 4th with the announcement of the NEET undergraduate results by the National Testing Agency or the NTA, and soon blew up into what could be one of the largest scams around medical exams in the country of over 1.4 billion. NEET, or National Eligibility Cum Entrance Test for undergraduates, is an all India pre medical entrance test. NEET replaced the All India Pre-Medical Test and many other pre-medical exams conducted by states and various medical colleges a little under a decade ago. Ever since NEET came into force, conducting the medical entrance exam has not been smooth. Almost each year has seen some controversy or other, and some even leading to courtroom battles. But NEET 2024 stands out as the most controversial so far.
Ladies and gentlemen, the NEET exams were not so neat after all. The 2024 results have opened a huge can of worms, and the future of 2.3 million students is hanging in the balance.
Congress leader Rahul Gandhi hit out at the Prime Minister Narendra Modi amid the ongoing NEET UG medical exam controversy. Rahul Gandhi assured students in the country that he would become their voice in Parliament and strongly raise the issues related to their future.
The Supreme Court has asked the National Testing Authority to respond to a plea seeking the cancellation of the NEET UG 2024 exam due to alleged paper leaks and other malpractices.
इस बार की नीट परीक्षा पर कई सवाल उठ रहे हैं। इस परीक्षा को कंडक्ट कराने वाली संस्था नेशनल टेस्टिंग एजेंसी यानी एनटीए ने भी अपनी सफाई दी है, लेकिन एनटीए के तर्कों पर देश के छात्रों को यकीन नहीं हो रहा।
Leaked questions, disproportionately high marks, controversial grace marks, dubious answer keys. All these allegations are leveled at the National Testing Agency, even as the fate of millions of aspiring medical practitioners remains in limbo. Hundreds of students have complained of discrepancies and inconsistencies in their result tally.
सर इस साल तो जो नीट ने किया है, एनटीए ने किया है, वो सरासर गलत किया है। 641 पे लास्ट ईयर रैंक थी 9000 के अराउंड एंड दिस ईयर इट वाज लाइक 38000। तो अगर हमने मेहनत की है एक साल तो हमें उसका फल नहीं मिला, अब हम दोबारा से ड्रॉप कर रहे हैं तो इट्स नॉट जस्टिफाइड। मिल रहा था 641 इज अ गुड स्कोर कि मतलब उसमें हमारा सिलेक्शन हो जाता है, अच्छे कॉलेज में मिलता है हमें एडमिशन, बट दिस टाइम हमें नहीं मिल पा रहा।
पिछली बार जो कट ऑफ गई थी उसमें 610 में एडमिशन हो गया था, लेकिन इस बार मेरा 610 स्कोर रहा है और मेरा एडमिशन फिर भी नहीं हो पा रहा है। अगर मुझे भी ग्रेस मिली होती तो शायद मेरा एडमिशन हो जाता अच्छे कॉलेज में। पता नहीं एनटीए ने क्या किया है इस बार, किन्हीं बच्चों को ग्रेस दे दी है, किन्हीं को नहीं दी, किन्हीं के 620 के 720 मार्क्स कर दिए हैं और हमें ग्रेस नहीं मिली, और किन्हीं बच्चों को तो ग्रेस भी नहीं दी है।
अगर एनटीए ने इसके खिलाफ कोई एक्शन नहीं लिया तो फिर बच्चों का नीट से भरोसा उठ जाएगा कि हम एक नीट एग्जाम था जहाँ पर कि है ना कोई मतलब कि पेपर लीक या फिर जो फेयर मीन से पेपर कंडक्ट होता था, लेकिन अगर इसमें भी यही होने लगा तो बच्चे फिर ये सोचेंगे अगर नीट में भी यही रहने लगा तो हम जाएंगे कहाँ, किस चीज की तैयारी करेंगे।
The opposition, stronger in spirit after the recent elections, have been quick to criticize the government. On June 13th, NTA informed the Supreme Court that the scorecard of 1,563 NEET UG 2024 candidates will be scrapped. These students were given grace marks for a wrong question. This led to pan-India protests. These students can opt for a retest on June 23rd. The results will be declared on June 30th. In case these candidates do not opt for the retest, their earlier score will be considered the result, without the grace marks. This may settle the matter for now. But the larger question is, what has led to all this? What is rotting the exam systems that filter who can become the country's doctors and who cannot? In today's episode, I speak with my colleague Manas Pratim Gohen from the Times of India, who's been covering the Ministry of Education, erstwhile MHRD, for many years now. He has his eyes and ears in the government corridors and offices. He shares the buzz beyond the headlines. I speak with Dr. Sai Ram, Associate Professor who teaches UG and PG students at the Sri Ramachandra Medical College in Chennai and also practices neurosurgery at a private hospital. To get the pulse of students and parents on this issue, I also interact with Nitin Kukreja, CEO, Allen Career Institute. Allen is one of the leading coaching institutes in the country. This preps up students for entrance exams like NEET and JEE. Listen on. It is Friday, June 14th. I'm your host, Prachi Verma, and you're listening to the episode Heat on NEET on the Morning Brief. Moving to Manas. He briefly takes us through the NEET journey. He also explains what led to the current dispute over the exam and the result.
The NEET happened on the 5th of May. The first report we got was from Bihar that there were some incidents of alleged paper leak. Then gradually, as the day progressed, we also got to know about some problem in certain centers like in Sawai Madhopur in Rajasthan. And from there, we got to know on the social media some question papers doing round. So we contacted NTA to what really happened. So the Bihar police filed a case on that, and they said that the investigations are underway and Solver Gang is involved in that.
Solver Gang is a bunch of people who, by using unfair means, impersonate the candidates appearing for exams. In the past, there have been multiple cases where many such gangs have been successfully busted.
In case of Sawai Madhopur, Rajasthan, the center superintendent apparently actually distributed English question paper to the Hindi medium candidates. So the students actually protested, and what happened after that is the students are actually given the right question paper subsequently on the same day, and they were allowed to take the test. Okay. So that is the first incident. After that, then these allegations of malpractices and paper leak was already on. The results were supposed to be declared on 14th of June, tentative. But then suddenly on 4th of June, the results were declared. And we see a huge, significant increase in the number of students who scored very high. In fact, the number of toppers this year is 67. Last year, it was 2. And not only toppers, they have actually scored 720 out of 720.
Very rarely, and only in 1 or 2 cases previously, have students got 100%. There was a furore on social media. Students, their parents, teachers, coaching centers, lawyers, everyone was triggered. But then NEET has always courted controversy.
Well, the history of NEET goes back to 2012. Till 2012, CBSE used to conduct the All India Pre-Medical Test, AIPMT. Then the government in 2012, the center, introduced the one country, one test NEET for medical admissions.
India has adopted the one nation, one exam approach. This provides a common platform and equal opportunities to candidates across the country, and is actually quite helpful for those in far-flung and remote areas to better connect with the universities. A single examination also aids candidates to get access to apply to various central universities.
However, there were a lot of oppositions from various states. Specifically, we can say Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu continues to oppose NEET, and it has become even a poll promise by various different political parties. And then it was opposed by private colleges. So the CBSE and the Medical Council of India, now it is conducted by a National Medical Commission. Then it was Medical Council of India, deferred the NEET by a year. So then we come to February 2023. More than 80, around 80, I believe, 80 cases were filed opposing the undergraduate NEET exams. And 2 of these were by state governments, and the rest of them are private and minority institutes. But on May 5th, 2013, test was held for the first time. But what happened in July 18, in a 2-1 split verdict on the validity of NEET, a bench led by former Chief Justice Altamas Kabir held that the MCI and the Dental Council of India lacked legal authority to control admissions to MBBS, BDS and postgraduate courses.
This was appealed against. Multiple turnedowns, appeals followed. And finally,
in April 28, I believe, Supreme Court approves that holding of NEET in two phases for the academic year 2016 and 17. So that's how NEET happened.
The legal wrangles were coterminous with a political slugfest. On one hand, BJP student wing ABVP demanded an inquiry into the test procedure. On the other, even Congress demanded a court-monitored probe. Cut to now, after news of the scam erupted.
What is happening now is the education ministry of the center has set up a 4-member panel to review the case of the grace mark. There's an issue of grace marks also. Now, when 67 students got these 720 marks, so when the question was raised, how come 67 students actually managed to get 720 marks? So interestingly, the response from NTA is that they actually didn't score, or not all of them actually scored 720 marks. So 44 of them out of the 67, they got the marks because of a revision of one answer key of physics. So the students who didn't get the mark in the first, as per the first answer key released by NTA, so they have to be given the same mark. And then they realized that these 44 students actually their marks got added and they scored 720.
In this whole confusion, some students lost critical exam time. To them also, compensatory grace marks were awarded, adding up to a total of 67 students who got full marks. So, cases have also been filed by, I think, one student or more, multiple, with the Supreme Court.
Yeah, 2 fresh petitions have been filed in the Supreme Court on 10th, challenging the NTA's decision to award grace marks. They are seeking the complete scrapping of the results. An applicant from Andhra Pradesh has filed a writ petition in the Supreme Court where he has challenged the decision of the agency to grant grace marks. Another petition has been filed in the Apex Court to recall the NEET UG results. There are other cases been filed with Delhi High Court as well as, I think, Patna High Court on the same.
Meanwhile, Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan said that there was no paper leak. Here's Pradhan in a press conference.
स्पेसिफिक घटना जो आए हैं उसको सरकार गंभीरता से लिया है। एकेडमिशियंस की कमेटी बनी है, उन्होंने कुछ रिकमेंडेशन किया है, उस हिसाब से सरकार आज कोर्ट के सामने उस पक्ष को रखेगा। और बाकी जो नीडफुल सुप्रीम कोर्ट के आदेश से ही कुछ साल पहले से एनटीए की गठन हुई है। पिछले दिनों में आज एनटीए लगभग 3 बड़े एग्जामिनेशन कराते सक्सेसफुली कराती है। नीट, जेई और सीयूईटी जो घटना हमारे सामने आई, निश्चित रूप में दोषियों को उसमें दंड दिया जाएगा। लेकिन मैं विद्यार्थियों को मुख्यतः और अभिभावकों को आश्वस्त करना चाहूंगा, भारत सरकार और उसकी इंस्ट्रूमेंट एनटीए कमिटेड है बच्चों को ट्रांसपेरेंट तरीका से अपने संतुष्टि से न्याय देने के लिए। इस बार 24 लाख बच्चे सक्सेसफुली एग्जामिनेशन।
Now I move to Dr. Saira. He tells me that this is a difficult time for students who appeared for NEET 2024.
Yeah, usually what happens is right after the plus 2 exams are over, the children or family friends discuss with me about how things are to be taken forward. And this time they were pretty depressed because apparently what they felt was the paper was a relatively simpler one compared to the years before, and they were pretty optimistic of a good rank. So given how things have transpired, so they have gotten the marks they expected, but the thing is the ranks, they have fallen behind by several tens of thousands. So that is pretty unsettling, to be honest. And the families are pretty disappointed with how things have panned out.
So, as a professor, you've been teaching and you've also, tracking the examination last 11 years. Has this kind of event ever happened earlier, or is this unprecedented?
So actually, I think in 2015, there was an issue with a paper leak and some confusion had happened at the time too. So there was a re-exam and there were some confusions, but exam, it is not something which is fairly, unheard of in medical education. There have been several instances where postgraduate exams have been scraped because of malpractice. But a confusion of this magnitude, I think in that regard, this is fairly unprecedented, given the number of students who have, been affected by this. I think this is something which is unprecedented.
So, does this shake the faith in the whole medical examination system altogether?
It actually does, doesn't it? Like every year we see very few children are able to get the 100% marks, the 720 out of 720. So this year we had around more than 60 people do that. So that itself, makes things difficult for people to believe in the sanctity of the exam. So what is usually expected is a competitive exam of such stature should not be something where like around like 50 people can get 100%, especially when you have given grace marks right, left, and center without any specific guidelines. And usually what happens is after the exams are conducted, the NTA releases the key, and there is actually some time for the candidates and the coaching centers and other places, experts in the specialty, to challenge the key in case there are some discrepancies. This time there was not much of a time for the people to get past that. The results were announced very quickly after the key was out. So all these things make people believe in several conspiracy theories which are already going around. So it all comes down to one point, that being NEET UG is an exceptionally high stake exam. It all comes down to the fact that what you do in those 200 minutes will get to shape your future. Whether or not you get an MBBS seat, whether or not you get into a government college or a private college where the fee difference is phenomenal. Since the stakes are high, that leads to people indulging in unethical practices and malpractices. So this is something which maybe needs to be addressed, is what the general consensus is.
So, how can this be addressed?
So to begin with, some 15 years back, when we had entrance exams, there used to be something called as the All India Pre-Medical Test. That was done in two phases. There will be an MCQ exam, and then once we qualified the MCQ exams, there will be a main written exam. And the scores of the written exam were used to rank the students. And even then, what happened was that was not the sole exam to get into MBBS in our country. So with regards to MBBS, 15% of the seats in every state are earmarked for the All India quota. And those seats will be exclusively filled based on the erstwhile AIPMT, what is now NEET. There were other ways where you could join medical college. There used to be states which had 85% of the seats. So each state had its own way of allotting the seats for their students. Some states went based on the +2 scores. Some states had a separate entrance exams. So in those scenarios, what happened was, first, it was not just one exam which decided your fate. Even if you missed one exam, you had another exam from your state side through which you could get into a medical college. So that reduced the stakes to a considerable extent. Instead of having one exam which decides your fate, if you fail it, or if you don't clear it, you have to wait for another year to have another go. When there are multiple options, when the stakes are lowered, maybe the incidence of malpractice might come down.
Now I turn to Nitin Kukreja, CEO, Allen Career Institute. He has been with the company for close to 2 years now. Nitin and his colleagues have been inundated with queries from students and parents ever since the NEET results were released. So, at Allen, how many students had appeared for NEET?
100,000 plus.
And what was their reaction?
Look, reactions will be across levels, right? There are students who would have qualified. There are students who know they would not have qualified. And there would have been students who would have thought that they would have qualified or had or thought they had a chance of qualifying. Okay, obviously the ones who would have qualified and have done well in the exam would feel that they're through and they don't have to give it again. The ones who won't get through would obviously feel that they need justice. The middle one is where people start questioning on was the process fair, etc., etc. As you can imagine, in an exam like NEET, where the number of applicants is so high and the number of seats is so limited, the second cohort and the third cohort will obviously be larger than the first one. The number of people who have not made it will obviously be greater than the number of people who made it.
Sure. So, as coaching centers, and you're one of the largest leading coaching center in the country, could you tell us about your reaction and also what you're doing about this at your end?
No, sure. So, as you know, we've already written to the NTA. We've asked for justice to be done with every student. It doesn't mean that you react in haste, it doesn't mean that you react with emotion, but go specifically to every set of cases and see what is the solution that you need to put out there. The biggest thing that they need to do is come out with a comprehensive answer rather than piecemeal answers, because that is what is adding fuel to the fire. And coming out not just with a set of reactions for this year, but also what they would do to fix the process so that no questions like this can be raised for future years as well.
As the head of a coaching center whose very job is to prepare aspirants for some of the most difficult competitive exams in the country, can you give us some examples of exams that are conducted in a fair and a just manner in India or globally?
So look, you don't have to even look at global examples. There is a way that the IIT exam is done. There is a one-step exam and then there is a second-step exam. That in itself acts as a safety check to say that did the right children get through, the capable children get through, the competent children get through.
But for now, NTA has admitted to discrepancies in the exam. It is proposing cancellation of compensatory marks awarded to 1,563 students. These students can opt for re-exam later this month. But is this actually over? NTA officials still have a lot of work ahead. They need to concoct the right formula to conduct exams in a fair and just manner. The task is humongous for them, given that we are a highly populated country. The NEET UG 2024 paper leaks matter is yet to be resolved. This matter is pending at the Supreme Court. The Education Minister sticks to the ground that there has been no paper leak. However, others do not think likewise. Alak Pandey, founder Physicswala, who moved the apex court against the random allocation of grace marks, says only those students have been provided relief who have approached the courts. How can a 17, 18-year-old child give an exam and then approach the honorable courts? He says, it is a state of uncertainty, confusion, frustration, anxiety for thousands and thousands of students who appeared for the exam. Celebrations are on hold, even for those who got exceptional scores. They are the future doctors of India. Many are just inches away from their dream college. But for now, the victory dance will have to wait. That's it for today. You were listening to this episode on The Morning Brief. It was produced by Neil Ghai and Vinay Joshi and sound engineers Amrit Reggie and Indranil Bhattacharya. Do like, share and subscribe if you like the episode. The Morning Brief drops every Tuesday to Friday on a listening platform of your choice. All external clips used in this episode belong to their respective owners. Credits are mentioned in the description.